our only oven mitt has a hole in it. Let's fix that. So over Christmas time, my sister and I did a sewing project together and we made these placemats. We ended up cutting out and then quilting all of this middle section. And then when I came home after Christmas, I put on the backs, the fronts, and finished them out. So we have 6 of these. Final goal was to make an oven mitt to match the placemats, but I never got around to making an oven mitt and it didn't really matter until I went looking for 2 oven mitts and I could only find one. I don't know where the other one's gone. I've checked the entire kitchen. It's not here. Also, this oven mitt has a giant hole in it, which isn't really something you want in an oven mitt. So today, we are rectifying this situation. So I spent a little bit of time last night thinking up what I wanted for a new oven mitt. While I like this kind of like full hand oven mitt, I find that I've been reaching for the dishcloth that hangs off the side of our stove much more often because this is a little inconvenient to like pull out the cabinet and put it on your arm and take off your arm and all that kind of stuff. So instead, I drew up this pattern to make like pseudo pot holder. So all I did was I traced out my hand, slightly bigger than my hand, and then I cut out 2 more pieces that match the end of this pattern. So the final idea being that you can slip your fingers in here and then it's like a pot holder. I've made them about the size of my hand. My partner's hand is also the same size as my hand, so if you're doing this and the other people that cook in your kitchen have like much larger or smaller hands, you maybe want to pick a good medium. But this one I thought was a good size. It goes over just enough on either side of my hand that I'm not worried that I'll accidentally grab the pan with the side of my hand. And then there's enough extra space at the end that my partner's slightly bigger hands can fit through, but also I don't feel like there's so much hanging over that it'll like get into this. So that's the plan for oven mitts. But I thought while I was at the same time, I'd also tackle a secondary problem I have. So the secondary problem is that our pots and pans sit in a cupboard and they're all kind of piled on top of each other. And because of that, I'm always worried that they're going to scrape against each other. My dad always used pieces of paper towel in between the pots and pans, but that's just like a little bit ugly. So what I've decided to do is make effectively trivets that will be stored in between all the pots and pans, but then could also be used if we need them on the table. So I also made templates for those last night. So I just traced out the bottoms of all the pots and pans, and there'll be 4 of those. So the plan is to get all of this finished so we have a matching set for the whole kitchen. As for the fabric that we're using, I still have 1 stripe left from the stripes that we made at Christmas time that's fully pieced together. I also have a baggie with a bunch of extra pieces and all of the scraps that we ended up not using because we realized that we had quilted a lot more than we necessarily needed. I also have a bunch of this cat fabric, which is on the back of table mats. I had been saving this for so long and I've decided that like I'm never going to use it if I'm going to save it forever. So that's what's going to be probably the backs of all of these. And then I have a ton of bias binding that I made when I made the table mats. So hopefully this is enough binding to finish the 5 things that we're doing. I think the first step is to start cutting.
Myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. This really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. Life lessons come 1 in a dozen, the other 11 get something from nothing. I sit here looking for an answer. Maybe the biggest question was in the last chapter. You gave me the soul I have today. Without you I never could have moved away. But now I see what you teach. I do believe I always should have stayed. Yeah. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I
We're at a little bit of a decision point right now. I have enough of the pre-quilted or pre-pieced fabric to, if I sew these two pieces together, to do the palms of both of the oven mitts. And then all I have left is this much of the pre-pieced fabric left. I have a lot of cutout pieces here, and I just spent a little bit of time organizing them. And I believe I have all of these longer pieces and all of these shorter pieces cut out, but these small pieces, I don't think I have any left. I'm trying to remember what I did, but we're kind of throwing it together at Christmas. I don't remember. So I kind of have two different decisions. I'm pretty sure, well, actually looking at this, it looks like these longer stripes and the smaller stripes are the same length. So I have a lot of these longer stripes. I could just cut them down to whatever length I need to make the shorter stripes. That's totally doable. And then I could piece a bunch of fabric together and then have the tops of the trivets be entirely this pieced fabric. Other option that I'm thinking of exploring is similar to how the placemats are, just have a stripe of the pieced fabric and then use the leftovers of this mauvey burgundy as the top and bottoms so that they look more like the placemats. The third option is some combination of the two of them. So there's 4 trivet sizes. I think this one's the biggest, and then the smallest one is this big. So there's 4 different sizes. I could mix and match, like the small one could very easily be entirely pieced, whereas the big one could have the stripe, and then maybe that would give a little bit more cohesion between the entirely pieced oven mitts and the striped placemats. So maybe that's what I'll do. But either way, I think it is time for me to pull out my sewing machine and at least start piecing some things together. Thankfully, I do not think this will take as long as the pieced jacket did a couple months ago. I'm hoping that all of this fabric is enough and that I don't have to cut any more. But if I do, I have all of these pre-cut strips that I could break into if I need to. But I'm hoping that I don't have to break into them and that this is enough. Finished cutting everything out. I did make a decision that the trivets are going to be a little bit of a hybrid approach. So half of them are going to be fully quilted, like this piece here, and then half of them will have the stripe like the placemats do. Just so that there's a little bit of cohesion between the trivets and the placemats. Plus, I didn't want to have to make quite that much more quilting pieces, like the pieced fabric. As it stands, I was able to mostly use scraps of what I had, and I didn't have to cut anything new from those strips, so that's really good. But I didn't want to have to make too much more because this was pretty tedious. In terms of how the sandwiches are for each piece, everything's slightly different. So I'll start with the palm pieces for the oven mitts. There's the quilted part, which goes on the outside, and then on the inside is 2 of these reflective cotton pieces. This is just available at the fabric store. This is actually the only thing that I bought new in this whole project, was just this reflective fabric. You probably only need 1 layer of it, However, I was doing some research on making your own oven mitts, and someone had mentioned that after a couple years, she started to feel the heat slightly more when she was using hers. So I decided to just double up here. And then there's the inside fabric, which is this kind of fabric. And that's the same for both of the palm pieces for the two oven mitts. For the hand pockets, the pockets that go on the outside, it's very similar. So there's the quilted inside piece. There's one of these reflective pieces, and then I have just one cotton piece. And if you probably saw in the clips that I was just using scraps, but this is 100% cotton quilting batting, and then the piece of fabric for the inside. And that's the same for all four of these hands. The trivets are slightly different. They have the piece top side and then the reflective heat preventative batting. But then for their second layer of batting, it's this more structured piece of batting. I think this is just felt. I'm not 100% sure. I did get it when I made the placemats. And so that's what I have for this. Because these won't have direct heat on them very often, like they're mostly going to be used as pan protectors rather than trivets themselves. I think we're only going to use them as trivets when we need more than just the cork pieces we have. So that's why I think it's okay to use this felt. And then obviously there's the fabric. So for the construction of all of these, I'm going to use, I think I still have a little bit more quilt basting spray left. So I think I'm going to use that to make all of the sandwiches. Because I don't want to wait 24 hours to sew them, I'm going to iron all of them. But I'm not going to quilt anything. Mostly because I don't think I need to quilt anything. You have to check the directions on the specific battings that you're using. It will give you the length you have to have between quilting lines to make sure that the batting doesn't like separate and clump into one corner. However, none of these are small enough for that. The only ones that maybe is the extra large trivet size, but I don't think that this reflective batting pulls apart as easily as like pure cotton batting would. So I'm not going to quilt any of these, just going to baste them together with the spray. So that's going to be the next step.
So high I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Times don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world but keep the sky